You already know what it is. You are now tuning in to Damaged Goods. Hey, make sure you tap that follow. Oh, yeah. Make sure you subscribe, like, share. We're going to keep getting bigger and bigger. Damaged goods, but you know I still got the value. Did it by myself, I made my name without you. Yeah, I got a game on lockdown, ayy. See me when I'm chilling at the top now, ayy. I'ma tell my story. I don't give a fuck, you can watch out.
Mind over matter, I'm telling the truth. Been through the worst, I got nothing to lose. Talking to me, better watch what you say. I am the one who don't play with no games. Velocity, property of my own shame. Militant minded and sick in the brain. Truly right now, I don't need to explain. Mark you on fire, now you know my name.
Damaged goods, okay, wait, damaged goods, okay, wait, okay.
Damaged goods, but you know I still got the value. Did it by myself, I made my name without you. And I got a game on lockdown. See me chillin' at the fucking talk now. I'ma tell my story. I don't give a fuck, you can watch now. Damaged goods, but you know I still got the value. Did it by myself, I made my name without you. And I got a game on lockdown. Ayy, see me when I'm chillin' at the top now. Ayy, I'ma tell my story. I don't give a fuck, you can watch now.
Yeah. Hey, Hey, what? Gang, yo, you already know what the fuck going on. Damaged goods. Damaged goods with no motherfucking regrets. You already know what it is. You are now tuning in to Damaged Goods. Hey, make sure you tap that follow. Oh, yeah.
What's up, y'all? How's it going? So, do not mind me. I'm slightly, just a tad bit behind. I just sent over the link so our guest can join us here very shortly. I'm just waiting for it to hop up. So, what's going on, everybody? Tell me something good. Anything exciting happening? Let's see. Hey, Kim, how are you? Dee Dee, how's it going? Bex, thank you. I wasn't sure how I felt about it, but I decided why the hell not, right? All right. This is going to be a sensitive live tonight. The person who is coming on panel is a very good friend of mine, and she's going to be sharing her story. She's supposed to come on with the camera on, and she's going to turn it off when she starts to get into everything that's going on in the story. And that's I figured nobody would mind that because we all know what it's like to talk about something for the first time ever and not want to do the ugly cry on camera. So, boy. Okay, so thank you, Bex. How are you, widow, darling? I see you know some of my family members in here. Awesome. I'm very happy that they have been hanging out with you guys. So yeah, today is going to be very very emotional. Whispers. There will be no squeaking of the ball. Just like a child, you tell her no squeaking her ball and she does it 10 times more. So we oh, hey, Angry Wife. Thanks for joining us tonight. Angry Wife, I can kind of relate to that name, I think. Only sometimes. Hey, Whispers. So, we are going to be talking about something that happened to her 16 years ago. That is not a parrot. That is my dog with her chew toy. Yes, it is. she's a little bit of a knucklehead, my darling doggy. But she picked it out herself. So with that being said, I cannot deny her the the right to squeak. I'm hassling her just a tad bit. I mean, what good are friends if they don't pick on you every now and again? You want the link in here? All right. I sent it to you every way possible. And there you go. All right. This link is for only her. Nobody else will be coming on panel tonight. Whispers. Whispers. Or whisper, darling. The squeaking is not allowed. So I'm kind of messing with my drink with. Do you guys have this little thing on the side where it pops up and you can do like the 100, the heart? So I'm pressing it. See, just nothing's happening. I don't know what that does. I have no clue what that does. All I know is it isn't doing anything when I push the buttons. So if y'all know what the hell it does, let me know. All right, are we ready?
Hi.
How do you do? All right,
So
everybody.
I'm just letting you know I'm shutting out, just so you know. I know we talked about this. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. I don't know who's here. I don't know how many are here. I don't. But I'm just letting everybody know I am in private chat, so I'm not looking at comments. So Noelle will just let me know if there's anything I need to talk to. She wants me to see. So I just want to let you know I'm not trying to be rude to anybody. Uh-oh.
Now you see us, now you don't.
Now I see you.
Yeah, you know, leave it to me. Leave it to me to fuck something up. But you know what? Hey, whatever. All right, so everybody, this is my lovely friend here tonight. She's very nervous. So we're all going to be very polite, and we are all going to show a lot of love.
Yes.
And you can turn off that camera anytime you want to. And by the way, you look gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. And you look gorgeous as always, too.
Oh, really? I'm wearing, I literally threw this on over I didn't stop cleaning. So
I've got a t-shirt on, so we're in the same club.
I was just too busy messing around with every freaking thing else. And well, you know what? I always run out of time. And so I figured, you know what? This might make me look just a little itty bitty bit fancy. So, all right. Are we ready to rock and roll here? Or do you want to chit chat for a little bit? You want to tell me something good about your day?
Yeah, I honestly just, it's a good time to be alive. Get to be home with my babies.
Yes, it is. And those babies love you very much. And so do I.
Yeah,
and many of us in here do know who you are. So I'm very certain that they love you as well.
Yes. So. And I'll do a little introduction as well. For those that don't know me, my name is, well, everybody here knows me as Mama Bear. And I'm just a girl that's here to tell her story of something that happened to me 16 years ago. I was raped at a college party, and 16 years later, here I am to speak this. And it was a long time coming here.
Yeah, a long time coming and a lot of talking it out and figuring out how we were going to get through it. So what we do, we talked about last night, and I told her wear comfy clothes. So I know when I'm anxious, if I'm in uncomfortable clothing, it makes me very unhappy, and I fidget a lot. So
I'm the same. We're the same.
just trying to give a couple little hints every here and there about how to do this and do it well. So you got this. You got this. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. And, you know, that's one thing I told Matt when we first got together. It's not always going to be easy, but it's always going to be worth it. So
yes, because we are worth it.
Yes, we are.
And it took me a long time to even come there that I'm worth it. I'm worth all of this. I'm worth, and it's okay that I come with baggage and people are there, and there are people that will accept me, even with my baggage. And that goes for anybody throughout life, my family, friends, partners that I've been with and everything else. But it's taken a long time, and I'll kind of start out. I guess what we can say is, first of all, trigger warning for anybody out there. I'm sure you put it in there, but I'll kind of start out, I guess, a little lighter, and I'll just kind of go from how I got here on this platform to speak my story for really the first time. I've never gone into full detail of my story, especially on a platform. For a long time, I couldn't even say the name rape or the word rape without breaking down. I couldn't, I'll kind of go back to the beginning. After I was raped, my father and I, my dad, were close, like even to this day. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Even to this day, we call each other almost every day, and we are extremely close. And after my rape, my dad, who has never done anything to me, I had a great childhood. I really did. I was blessed. Even that, I couldn't have my dad hug me after my rape for months or comfort me. And we both had to deal with that. And so wherever anybody is at in their journey.
Thank you, Slugger. I appreciate you. I love you very much. My bad.
But
keep going.
Yeah, so I'll go kind of from the beginning when I have notes too. So if you see me looking over there, that's only because I have some notes that I just want to make sure I get everything out there. And I know Noelle and we talked a lot about this. I said I was going to start with my journey, but I think it's important I start with my story. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I think it's what makes you comfortable and how you think that you should tell it so that everybody understands that is the way that you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, you're right. So let me just make sure I have my notes here. Just as a I'm sorry.
Take your time.
I didn't realize I would be this nervous. I knew I would be nervous, but I'm pretty nervous. So forgive me if I'm rambling and I'm kind of out there a little bit right now.
You're fine. And remember, if you have to turn that camera off, you can do that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to, while I'm telling my story, I think I'm going to turn the camera off so I can just speak. And then I'm going to turn the camera back on because I would like to still talk and look at everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and shut off my camera now so I can tell my story. Okay.
And if you need to take a break, please just tell us.
Yes, I will. Okay. Okay, so here I am. You guys can hear me still? Of course. So
your camera's on, just don't.
What'd you say?
I was just reminding you that your camera was on in case you forgot.
No, I shut it off now, right?
Mm-hmm. It is off.
Okay. Okay. So we're going, I am now 38. So this was 16 years ago when I was 21 years old. I was in college. I went to a university in the state of Missouri. And I went to a college party, not on campus, but it was all the college kids went, back in 2000. This was 2006. So just think back to then. And I went to this party. And of course, it was at my friend's house. And she lived out there in the country. So when I got there, there was, it was wall to wall people, and the music was very loud. It was just a typical college party. And when I went to this party, when I first came into the party, I remember my rapist. I remember I had never met him before. I had never seen him in my group of friends. I had never really, but I really just kind of pushed that off because college people just show up at these parties. It doesn't really matter. So I just kind of put it off on that. But I remember still to this day that when he introduced himself to me, it was, I got an uneasy feeling. I felt in my heart like I needed to leave right then. But of course, I rationalized it to myself, and I was like, I don't want to be rude to my friend. I had been drinking. It was already planned that I was going to stay the night at her house, where she was the one that was throwing the party. And so I had already been drinking, and I just didn't want to be rude, and I didn't want to get on the road. So I pushed it off, and time went on, and I went to the bathroom. And while I was in the bathroom, I still remember that as I was in the bathroom, somebody came and started pounding on the door of the bathroom. I had it locked. And I just figured it was a drunk asshole, and I just yelled and I said, I'll be out in a second. And I finish up and I go to open the door, and I open the door and he's there. And he was a big guy. He was very tall. He had to be over 6'2", and he was very strong. And he pushed me back into the bathroom, and he locked me in there, and he threw me onto the floor of the bathroom, in the tile floor, and he proceeded to rape me. And he raped me so violently that I needed medical attention. I won't go into detail, but I needed medical attention after he did what he did. After he was done, he then held a knife to my throat, and he said if I told anybody, he would kill me and he would kill my family. And I believed him. I absolutely believed him. And so like I said, I wasn't going to turn it into the police, but I ended up having to get medical attention. And so I had to go to the hospital. And I still remember that the nurse sat down, and I didn't even want to tell her what happened. I just said, I just need to be checked. And I need to have tests ran. And she knew right away, her and the doctor knew right away what had happened, because it was obvious from the evidence. And so they asked me if I had been raped. And I finally told them I had. And they told me I needed to turn this into the police. And I knew I did. But I was scared anyways. And I still remember I got out of there and I went to the police station, and I just sat in my car for, I don't even to this day know how long. It was long enough that one of the police officers knocked on my window in my car and asked if I was okay. I was falling apart. It was obvious I wasn't okay from my car, because this police officer came and checked on me. And when I finally worked up the nerve to go into the police station and report my rape, I was then re-victimized by the police. They didn't believe me, even with the evidence. And in fact, I had one of the police officers straight out ask me, he said, "Are you sure you were raped, or was it that you got too drunk, had a one-night stand, it got a little rough, and now you regret it?" And at that point, I knew, hell, if the police don't believe me, nobody's going to believe me. So I'm just going to be quiet. And I dropped the charges, and I tried to move on with my life. And by moving on, what I mean is I began a self-destructive, suicidal path. I wanted to die. I didn't want to be alive anymore, and I was ready to go. But I also knew that at that time, I also couldn't actually do it. So what I did instead is I turned to alcohol and I turned to pills, even more than I had already been doing. And I was literally at the point of just taking fistfuls of pills and washing it down with as much alcohol as I could, as often as I could, so I could black out, so I could die in my sleep. And that's what I wanted. I would literally pray every night that that would work. Of course it didn't. I'm still here. And this went on. This went on for a couple months, about 10 weeks, actually, until one day it dawned on me that I hadn't gotten my period, and I couldn't remember how long since my rape, really. If I wanted to face it, I wasn't even willing to face it. I wouldn't even admit to myself at the time that it happened. Just trying to forget about it. I hadn't told anybody other than those police officers and the doctor and the nurse at the hospital. That's it. And so, so I took a test, and before that wait time was over, those two pink lines showed up right away, real bold, real bold. And I knew I was far enough along that if I wanted, at that time, I said, well, I'm going to get an abortion. I'm done. This baby is not going to be coming into this world. I will abort my baby. But I knew I was running out of time. So I called Planned Parenthood and I tried to book an appointment, and they were booked. And they were booked for too long. I couldn't wait. And so I found another clinic that I could go to. And forgive me, I'm going to look a little bit more at my notes. Sorry. And there was, I'm sorry, I lost my spot. So I went to this clinic, and I went in there, and that was the doctor there was the next one I told. And I said, listen, I've been raped, and I need an abortion. I need this baby out of me. This isn't a baby. I just need this thing out of me. I need him out of me. I need this baby out of me. And for the first time, and after the cops, after how I was treated by the police officer, this doctor and nurse treated me the way I should have been treated by the police. And they just listened to me, and all at that point, it was like I told them I was raped, and it was hysterics. I couldn't go further than that. I didn't tell them any more details, but they just comforted me, and they believed me. And I felt like that was the first time, like since the police, that I was believed. And so I ended up telling them, I said, okay, well, I need to get an abortion. I need the resources to do that. And I was told that, they had to confirm that he was a live pregnancy. So we had to get a sonogram. And I flat out said, that is fine. We'll do the sonogram. Let's make sure this baby's alive, but I will not look. I'm not looking at this thing. I don't want to see him. And the doctor told me, she said, sweetheart, that's okay. You do what you need to do. And I laid back and she did the sonogram. I turned away and I wouldn't look. And then I heard the heartbeat. And I couldn't help myself, and I looked, and there was my baby. All of a sudden, he wasn't this monster, this thing, this horrible thing. Like, all of a sudden, it didn't matter how he came to be. All I knew was he was mine. And at that point, I couldn't abort him. So I talked to him, and I said, I'm done. I changed my mind. I'm changing my mind, but I would like resources for adoption. I know this baby's mine. I know, and I love him already, but I don't feel equipped to raise this baby. So I need to put this baby up for adoption. And I was given the resources for that through this clinic. And then the doctor asked me if she could send in a counselor to speak with me and, just make sure I'm okay. And they sent in this, and I'll never forget her, because the story's still in my mind. And she told me, she said, I just want you to know that you're not alone. And you are amazing, and you are fearless, and you are strong, and you can do this. If you want to raise your baby, you raise your baby. She said, because guess what? My baby, who is now 15 years old, was also a product of rape. And I kept him, and it doesn't matter to me. And I was blessed because he has all of me in him. And I know to this day that was God. That was God sent me. All of those events right there was, I'm going to say that was God. I know, I'm sorry if I offend anybody that doesn't believe, but to me, that was divine intervention, all of it right there. And so once I made that decision that I would carry my baby, but I would give my baby up for adoption. In my mind, I was like, okay, I just have to get through the next, several months until I give birth, and then I can go back and I can be done with it. I can end my own life, because I was still there. I was still there. But I knew I had to get my shit together to deliver a healthy baby. And so I did, and I went through my whole pregnancy knowing, about 98% that this baby was going to be put up for adoption. But throughout my pregnancy, I also dealt with the aftermath from my rape. The flashbacks and the nightmares and everything else that goes with all of that, along with the pregnancy. And it was the worst time of my life. It was so hard, because not only was I having to deal with this trauma, but I did not get the luxury of actually, I guess, enjoying my pregnancy and bonding with my baby while he was in my stomach. I loved him. He would kick, and I would love that. And of course, but I was also dealing with a lot of trauma. So my pregnancy was very difficult, physically and mentally, really. But I did it, and I had him, and they placed him with me. I was at the point I had a family picked out, but he was going to go to somebody else. But then when I held him, I just looked at him and I was like, you know what? We can do this. We can do this. You're mine. I'm keeping you. I'll make it work. We can do this. And so I did that day. And this same organization, and I don't know if Noelle has dropped it, but this same organization then helped me get resources to get baby things and give me resources to get help financially if I needed it. Helped me to get things that I needed to raise a baby. And that was honestly probably the hardest 9 months of my life. And to this day, it makes me sad because I didn't get that joy of pregnancy with my first baby. I was robbed from that. Even my rapist even robbed me from that. What the fuck? And so it, like, I mean, I know I told Noelle a lot more details here too, and hopefully she can help me, but that is really a lot of the story. I just want to make sure I didn't forget anything important here. Give me a second. I'm sorry, I did forget a very important part. I wanted to go back to when I decided that I was not going to abort my son. I was going to carry him through the pregnancy. I knew I had to tell my parents. I had to tell my family. But I was also scared to tell my family, not only because, especially my dad, because even though he knew, obviously it was obvious. Even though I wouldn't speak on it, he knew, obviously, because I couldn't even let him hug me. It was obvious what I had done, or what he had done. I had been raped, but it wasn't, I had not told him in my words. And I knew I had to. But I also was very scared because my dad, to this day still, is very protective. And he's also the father of 4 daughters. And I was afraid if I told him, my dad would do something and get himself in trouble, and it would have killed me. And so I told him, but I refused to say the name. All I knew at the time, I knew his first name anyway, so but I didn't know. I just told him, I said, no, I don't know. I'm not telling you. I can't tell you. And that was hard too, because he wanted to know, but I couldn't tell him for a lot of reasons. And I'm just making sure. And as the months went on in my pregnancy, and the trauma continued, and I was dealing with that aftermath, I knew I couldn't stay in Missouri. I just needed to get out of the state. I was scared. I was scared he would find me. I was scared he would find out I was pregnant. I was scared of a lot of things. And the trauma was there, and I just wanted to run, really. And I told my family, I told my parents at the time, back at this time, I said, I'm moving. I'm going back. I was actually raised in Iowa. I said, I'm going back to Iowa. I don't know. I'll figure it out, but I can't be here anymore. And my parents, my family, uprooted their whole life. And my dad said, no, you're not going on your own. You're not alone anymore, Christina. I'm sorry I said my name, but my name is Christina. Hi. You're not alone anymore. You're not. And we are a family, and we can do this together. Mm-hmm. And so and we came back to Iowa. And I stayed with my parents for a long time, but I also dropped out of college. I couldn't face going back to college, even in another state. I just couldn't. Even though this party wasn't on the campus, it was just too many memories.
How did your
And
parents feel about you dropping out of college?
they wish I wouldn't have. They really do. They tried to encourage me to continue on, but they also understood. I kind of said, I just need a break for now. And I did end up going back to college when Gabe was a toddler, when my son was a toddler. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I didn't forget else that I really wanted to touch on.
So
That's
how
the
how
basis.
did you
Yes, I'm sorry. I had it way different in my head. I'm so scattered. I'm sorry if I didn't even make sense.
No, I got you. I know what I know what we talked about. So how did your family help you carry on throughout your entire pregnancy, not wanting to leave the house, not wanting to do the things that you would normally do as a person of your age who had suffered such a trauma? What kind of supports were you offered by family and outside organizations?
I was offered a lot of help through Rain.
Mm-hmm.
Rain helped me, and anybody that is out there that is in the spot, or even 16 years later, and you need help and you need counseling, you need anything, if you have been through anything as far as a rape or sexual assault or anything like that, I will encourage everybody to reach out to Rain. And because they are a truly amazing organization, and they really do help us. They help victims. They help survivors, and they continue to help us throughout the years. I've used them throughout the years, whether that is for counseling, which has never costed me a penny. If I go through Rain, they set it up with licensed therapists for free. I want people to know that. I also want people to know that they will be there with you if you choose to press charges. They will be your advocates. If you choose not to press charges, they will still be there for you and be your advocates. They will set you up with medical care. They will set you up with everything you need as far as support goes. And I think that's important, that people know that that's out there, and it's out there, and it won't cost you a penny.
So when you had figured out everything that was going on and you decided on a family to take your little one when he was born, and you were comfortable with that feeling up until you had him and you saw him and you held him.
I got through the rough part. I'm back.
How did that change for you so drastically? What did that do to you when you held your child for the first time?
When I held my child for the first time, it didn't matter that I was going to be a single mom. It didn't matter where he came from. It didn't matter. I just knew that nobody could love my baby like me. And it landed for me when they laid him on my chest.
And that is when you changed your mind on giving him up for adoption.
I changed my mind right there.
And I know that you were not prepared to bring a child home. So who'd you call for help?
Again,
How did you
Rain.
and what did you say? Hey, I want I changed my mind and I'm going to keep my child. And how can we move forward?
Yes.
How can you help me?
Yes, I reached out to Rain and they helped me. And when I was with the counselor at the clinic that I had gone to for medical help and confirmed I was pregnant, she had shared with me her personal cell phone number. And she told me, she said, if you change your mind, reach out to me. And we've got you too. So that clinic also was able to get me what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I know I wanted to find that clinic name and I can't find it again. I don't remember the name.
It's okay. So all these years later, you had decided to eventually venture out and consider dating again, and you had a boyfriend.
Yes. Well, let's actually go a little further back on that. Even after I decided to have my son and keep my son, I was still trying to bury the fact that I was raped. I was trying to ignore it. I was trying to just act like that's not what happened. For
Didn't work
anybody
out.
else, no, it doesn't. And I'm just telling anybody out there that it doesn't. Even when you think it's working, I promise you it's not. That is not the way. Learn from somebody that wasted almost 4 years after my rape, burying my rape and not facing my rape. I didn't start getting help or anything until 4 years later. And again, Rain helped me.
How do you remember all the different resources that Rain was able to offer you?
Yes, Rain offers medical care.
Mm-hmm.
They offer free counseling with a licensed counselor or therapist. They have a hotline. They have victim advocates. They have people that will be by your side whether you press charges or you don't. Give me just a second. Let me mute my computer for a second. I forgot to unlock the door. Give me a second.
You're fine. So I told her earlier we can take as many breaks as we need to, and so far she's doing an excellent job. She was not sure that she would be able to do it.
I'm
And
sorry.
she was nervous, but I mean, look, she's doing it the first time ever publicly. And of course, years and years later, she ended up getting married. So she has told a few people, but she's never come out and told the world. Surprise.
Hi. Where was I? What was your question? I'm sorry.
What were all the different ways that organization Rain was able to help you out? What kind of resources do they offer, just so other people that need help, they know what they can find there?
Definitely, if you can, visit their website. I know they have so many resources on their website, and that is RAINN, RAINN.org. But they offer counseling. They offer victim advocates. They offer medical care. They offer pretty much, they are your people that you can lean on the most when you need them. It's an amazing resource to have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an amazing organization. And they
So,
help me a lot. And they help me a lot. And they have helped me. There's been times over the years that, like I said, it was about 4 years before I even was willing to enter into trauma counseling. After my rape, I continued to just push it down and try to push it down. And believe me, it doesn't. The nightmares were relentless. Every night I would have nightmares, and it was always the same nightmare. Um, I had these nightmares up until my son was about 9 years old. And almost every night I would dream that I was in some kind of building and there was a lot of doors, almost like a shining looking type of thing. Um, but my rapist was chasing me, and I could hear my baby crying, and I was trying to get to my baby, and he was trying to get to my baby. That was my repeated nightmare a lot of the times. And I would wake up and I would be screaming, and I would be having panic attacks. It was very hard almost every night. And then and the panic attacks, and a lot of the times, though, even with my family, I was so closed off that even they didn't know that I was dealing with some of these things. A lot of that was because I would hide it if I could. My dad would find me having a panic attack at times and things like that. But for the most part, I think my family didn't realize, even that I don't think they even realize to this day how much I dealt with, because I still wouldn't talk about it. I wouldn't talk about anything. I wouldn't talk about what I was dealing with. I wouldn't talk about the fact I was raped. I just wouldn't. And I also just buried myself in working 2 or 3 jobs, and then I went back to school, and I just thought that if I just stayed busy, it would go away, and it doesn't. It doesn't. So about 4 years later, after dealing with all of the bullshit I didn't have to deal with for that long, I finally faced that I needed counseling, and I went into trauma counseling. And that helped tremendously. But the thing that also helped me is I was in support groups as well. I was in a survivor support group. And back then, everything was in person for the most part. So it was in person, and it helped. It helped, even though it's so sad to me that 1 in 4 women will be raped. That is a true statistic. And it's probably more so than that, because there are many like me that won't talk about it and won't face it and didn't press charges. So sadly, the statistics are probably wrong. It's probably more. And yeah, it was a long road with recovery. Or not recovery, but it was a long road with healing. But like I've told you, Noelle, and even you know this too, these wounds, when it happens, they're gaping open and huge and red and, all the good stuff. And eventually, as we get help and as we move on in life and we get that help, those wounds start to heal. But even now, 16 years later, I have that scar that's never going to go. And I think that was another thing that I made the mistake personally of doing is, almost putting a time limit on myself of how long it should be before I'm over it. We don't get over it. We don't.
It doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away. And it's truly still there. And believe me, it will sneak up whenever we don't even expect it. When we think we're okay with something and then we're not, or something that we didn't even know was a triggers us, and now we're back in panic attacks. And a lot of the times, at least for me, I didn't even know what it was that was triggering me. I will tell you one of my major triggers, and it was a very scary trigger because the only other thing I knew about this person was his first name and the vehicle he drove. The only reason I knew the vehicle he drove is immediately after he raped me, he left, and I could see him leaving because his vehicle was parked not far from the bathroom window, and the bathroom window was at eye level. And he drove a white Ford Explorer, so guess what I got to do? Every time I saw a Ford Explorer on the road, I would have a panic attack for a long time. If it was that make and model and it had that look, I was in a panic attack. And there were many times that I had scared myself because I had been driving and I had to pull over because I was scared I would cause an accident. Because if anybody else has dealt with panic attacks, you can't control it. And it's really scary. And they come from nowhere, out of nowhere.
How did it affect your friendships? Were you able to continue talking to your friends? The girl that you went to her party, how long did it take before you were willing to open up and try to let people back in your life? Roughly.
Well, I will say that entire group of friends, I literally just, they didn't do anything to me. But even though, especially my friend Ashley, I shouldn't have said that name. Her name, it's a common name. I'm sorry, I keep saying names.
Nobody knows last names. It's okay. We discussed this.
But it was really sad because we were inseparable, and I did not handle things right with her. I just kind of blocked her number and just didn't even, she would email me and ask me why, and I wouldn't answer back. And even to this day, that breaks my heart. We did end up reconnecting years later. And we're able, but I didn't even go into it with her. We just kind of found each other again on Facebook, and, we were just Facebook friends, but that's about it. But yeah, it crippled me for a long time. And I would say that it probably took me, personally me, and it's going to be different again for everybody. Took me 4 years. Took me 4 years, and we'll go into dating here too. That was when actually, I'm sorry, it took 3 years, because I met my now ex 3 years after my rape. And I didn't tell him what I had been through at that point. I never did. Or I just didn't tell him at that point. But I think he knew, in a way, because he was very patient with me and he took things very slow. And it was about a year after we started dating before I would even venture into having sex with him. And when that first time that we had sex, this was the first time I had sex since I had been raped. And I thought I was ready. And we are down to ready to go, and I screamed at him. And I told him to stop, and I scared him. I scared myself, and I ran into his bathroom, and I locked myself in his bathroom, and I cried hysterically on the bathroom floor. That was my first time. Of course, it didn't actually happen. We didn't actually have sex, obviously, but that was the first time I thought I was ready. And I proved to myself I wasn't ready. I wasn't okay. And I thought I was okay. I was still at the point there that I was still trying to bury it. And I thought I was okay. And all he did was he just sat outside the bathroom door and he said, "I'm here, just to let you know." And every so often he would say that, and I don't know how long I was in there, but I finally was able to unlock the door. And I just said, "It's unlocked," and he opened it and he just held me. And the only thing I could say to him is, "I'm sorry that happened, but I was raped and I thought I was ready." And that was it. I didn't tell him any more details.
That was your first time telling somebody in
was
the family.
Yes. And
so earlier we talked about this, even though it was a short statement of "I'm sorry and this is what happened," and you didn't get into any detail. It helped take a little bit of weight off of your shoulders, because talking about it helps.
Yes. Yes, and it definitely, at that point, it kind of also woke me up, because I was like, okay, I'm not okay. I need help. And that was when I went into counseling, officially went into counseling. And I went into therapy, and I talked it out, and I joined the support group, and I even found, a few support groups online that I was able to join, because even in the in-person support group I was in, I couldn't speak it at all. When I typed it out, I could a little bit. And so I had a little bit easier time at first with online and just being able to type out a little bit of what I had gone through. And I think that's something that everybody needs to understand, is it's not a quick thing. It's slow. But also everybody's journey is different. Just because it took me this long or this was my path, it doesn't mean that's supposed to be everybody's path.
Some people handle things differently. And we're going to talk about a few other things that we discussed earlier. But a lot of us self-isolate and shut down, and it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all.
I do.
So that's why we are doing this, because it's needed. People need to hear other people's stories and know that there are people out there that understand.
Yeah. And we need to talk about it, because we can't allow our voices to be stolen from us anymore. I may be my story may be all jumbled up, and maybe I'm rambling. I know I am. Maybe it doesn't fully make sense. It's definitely not coming together like I thought it would in my head.
Oh, you're doing good. You're doing good.
But at least I'm here and I'm doing this. And I will tell everybody out here that I didn't start with this. It took years. It took years. It took years of being in support groups and being able to speak it by text, by typing just a little bit out. And then it moved up. And I'll tell you what really kind of made it so I was really like, it's time to speak out on this stuff. A lot of it happens to be the victim blaming that we see, especially out here in YouTube. I know it happens everywhere, but it happens a lot here. And the first time I spoke out, I didn't officially speak out. I actually, and I would like to share her channel because she's an amazing creator. If anybody's into true crime and wants a true crime channel with no drama, Alex Erickson. I emailed her my story. And I didn't even go into all of it, but I emailed her my story on behalf of, I was seeing, and I know I'm going into true crime, but this is part of the story. I was seeing a lot of that victim blaming, especially in this Idaho 4 case with the roommate Dylan. And the fact that she opened the door and then she shut the door and she didn't do anything and all this stuff. And it was just infuriating to me because all of us deal with trauma different. We don't know what she was going through. We don't know what happened, but everybody's sitting there and judging her and saying she should have done something and she's to blame. Believe me, survivor's guilt is real. Do you think I myself don't have survivor's guilt? I have thought about that many times. That if I just would have gone through with it and told these cops to shut the fuck up and gone on and pressed the charges and got him put into prison, what if he went on and he did something worse? Or what if he just did more of what he did to me to somebody else? It's already there, believe me. Survivors are already blaming themselves just for surviving. So it was very frustrating. And I asked Alex to read my story. And I emailed it to her and she read it out loud and she made it anonymous. Because I asked her to, of course. But that was the first time I put my story just a little bit out there. And that was when this case started. And that was a while ago. And this is the first time I'm on a camera and I am telling the internet what has happened to me. So I want to thank her for that as well. But also, it's just baby steps here. It really is. It's just baby steps. And as I've gone further, you know, I've been very outspoken in the community on this. But I've also never been here, if that makes sense.
How did you handle everyday life with your son after he was born? Did you ever look at him and feel sad or hurt or mad or any kind of resentment?
To be honest, I thought I would. And that was the biggest fear, and that was a big reason I wanted to give him up for adoption, because I didn't want that for him. I didn't want to look at my baby and see my rapist. But I'll tell you right now, no, I have never felt that way. A lot of that, I don't know if it has a lot to do with this, but I will say that my child is me. Like, he's a mini me. He is literally looks exactly like I did when I was a kid, just in a male form, if that makes sense.
Yes, he does. He is
really truly has no. He is, and he's never had those looks to make me think of my rapist. He's always just been mine. He's mine.
So I know there was a time that we discussed that you weren't sure how you were going to handle it if it ever happened, but when did you decide you were going to tell your son, and how did you decide that it was the right time?
I knew he needed to know. I knew he needed to know when he was born, but I also knew that he couldn't know when I would just know when it was time. And in fact, it was actually within the last 6 months to a year that he has been told. And how we handled it, I handled it. I'm married, and my husband's been in my son's life since he was 7. He calls him dad. That's his baby. Like, that's him. Like, we now have another one as well, and there's no difference between them. In the way that he's treated by our kids are treated by either one of us. They're both ours, and that's all that counts. But I knew he needed to know, because I knew that I would be starting to speak out about this. And I didn't want him to come across it, but it was also time, at least for my child. And that really is on if a person chooses. I really do encourage that, because I think you don't want to have any lies with your child. When he was young, how we handled it, like I said, my husband came into mine and my son's life when he was 7. So there was a while that it was just the two of us. I dated my ex, but he was somebody that he didn't really know Gabe like that. My now husband was the first one that my son had a relationship with, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And so I my husband said, if you are ready for that, if you think he's ready for that, I think he's ready for that as well. And we discussed it, and how we handled it is my husband had a heart-to-heart with him first.
Mhm.
And it's kind of and they're, again, are very close, so they have a lot of these heart-to-hearts, and a lot of the times that's kind of how it was handled. My husband was the one that told him, but then I went to him, my son, and I said, this does not change anything. And of course, my husband told him to, like, this does not change you. You are not that. You are not, yeah, you have half his DNA, but you are ours. And we really made sure that we really, pounded that into the ground, that yes, sure, you might not be by DNA both of ours, but you are ours. So it doesn't matter whose DNA is your other half,
Right.
because my husband is the one that has raised him into being almost man now. He will be 16. And I'm proud of him. He's a good kid. And then I just let him know. I said, bud, it's, we of course hugged, and he told me, so Mom, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I said, what do you have to be sorry about? You saved me. I said, and so I want to thank you just for being here, just for being sent to me. Like, you saved me. What do you have to be fucking sorry about? Because I know for a fact that if my son did not happen, I would not be here talking to you. I would have ended my life a long time ago.
But you're here.
I'm here.
Every day you're stronger.
Yes.
What, if any, triggers do you still have left? And are they as severe as they used to be? Or have you noticed that a lot of your triggers are no longer triggers, and now you just have a few that pop up randomly.
It's probably the latter. The triggers are definitely, yeah, just like you said, they're more far behind between, and they just kind of, come out of nowhere. Um, and we talked about this too. Like sometimes I don't even know what triggered me, but I'm just triggered, and there's something happened. I need help. Like I need to cope with it, and I need to face that. Okay, even though it's been this long, it's okay. And I actually started having a hard time again with things. They started coming back just out of nowhere about a year ago. And yeah, I'm sorry, I just lost my whole train of thought. I don't know what the question, ask me
The
again.
triggers started coming back again.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Yeah, they're just kind of, I guess it's like, it's almost, they're technically triggers, but they're also like, it's different now. Like back when it first happened, the first several years, if I would have a trigger, it was like instant collapse, instant panic attacks, instant get me the hell out of here. And my flight was strong, if that makes sense. I mean, I kind of proved that when I said what happened with me and my ex. That was me to a T. That's how I deal with my triggers. So,
How long did it take you to tell your husband?
took me about, I believe it was about 6 months into our relationship before I told him. And he was the first one. Like I said, my ex knew, the only information he knew was I was raped, and that was it. Other than that, he had no other real information. My husband is the one that I sat down and I told him everything. And when he was listening to me, he just sat there silently and he listened. He just listened. And he held me and he told me that he loved me and that I was strong and I was amazing, and that he was so happy he met me. Like, it was like in my head, I had it in my head that once I tell this amazing man that I'm on, that, I'm pretty sure I love, because I wasn't even sure at that time. But um, when when I was thinking about this, I was like, this amazing man that has just been amazing towards me. Like, he doesn't know what I've gone through, but I think he knows it subconsciously, because he just knows how to handle me. He just knows. It's like, and it's been like this since the beginning, since we met. Like, it was just that connection was just right away, that like connection. Like, you meet a few people here and there in life that it's like you meet them, it's like you met them or you knew them your whole life. And that's how it's been with me and my husband. And, so he's always just, he didn't do what I had convinced myself in my head. I had convinced myself, if I tell him, he's not going to want to be with me. I'm ruined. I'm tarnished. And I know I'm not the only survivor that has felt that, but I want to tell you, don't believe that fucking lie. Because you're not ruined and you're not tarnished. And there is an amazing man or woman out there that it doesn't matter. Not that it doesn't matter that you were raped, but it doesn't matter. It just doesn't, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it. It just, you have to be with somebody that's patient and understanding and just supports you.
How long did it take before you guys were intimate?
We were actually intimate before I told him. And he took it slow. And later on, as we like established our relationship, about a year or two into our relationship, he actually told me when he met me, like, I'll kind of go into that story. You know, we met at Starbucks. We hit it off in line, and we then sat at a table and we talked for 2 hours. And it was like I said, it was like I met him before. I had met him before and I knew him. And it was actually my mom's birthday. And a couple hours into our conversation, like, I was like, oh shit, I gotta go. Like, I gotta go pick up my mom's cake. I'm throwing her a surprise party. I gotta go. And told me later he thought I was just trying to ditch him and wanted to get away from him. Like, he's like, but it was actually the truth. Um, and so I then left, and I remember, like, probably a good, several 2-3 hours later, he actually texts me later. He's like, "Please don't think I'm crazy, but I really enjoyed talking to you. Would you want to meet up at?" There was a bar that had pool tables and things like that right down the road. "Would you like to meet up at this bar?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" And again, like, we sat there and we talked and talked. It was, I mean, at this time, I was also living in Las Vegas. So bars there don't close, by the way, for anybody that wants to know. So, like, but I probably got out there. So it's kind of the lifestyle that, like, nobody actually goes to the bar until like 11. So, like, we went there around 11, maybe, or so after my mom's party was over. And we sat there and we talked for like probably another 3 or 4 hours. And it was just that conversation. It was like I knew him. And then he kind of just was like, "Okay, please don't think I'm crazy, but I think this might be something here. Would you want to date me exclusively?" I had just met the man that day. I'm like, you know what? Shit, why not? Like, here we are in Las Vegas, the land of non-commitment, and I've got a man here that wants to commit to me like the first day we meet. Okay, well, we'll see where this goes, right? And I'm in the back of my head, I'm like, he just wants to get me in bed, right? But even though he was quick to commit to me, he was slow to get physical, if that makes sense. He later then told me about a year or two down the road that he took things extremely slow because he knew I was different from the start, and he didn't want to jump in bed with me because he had made that mistake before. But that was exactly what I needed. I needed somebody to be slow with me. It was a month after we started dating that he was even, like, finally got up the nerve to just kiss me. Like, I was honestly starting to think maybe he didn't actually like me because it took so long. I'm like, is this man ever gonna fucking kiss me? Like, it's been like a month, and he finally did. And then from there, we would just not long after that, I started actually spending the night at his apartment. A lot of that reason was because his apartment happened to be closer to where I worked than mine was. And so, but we would mess around and we would, like, spend the night together and all that. But we didn't actually have sex until 3 months into the relationship. And he's always been just very, even to this day, 9 years later, he's never changed in that way. even now, he still checks on me and makes sure that things are okay and I'm doing okay. And it's like he feels it, even if I don't say it, he feels if I'm not comfortable with something, and he'll just stop, or he'll fix that position or whatever it is. For example, I didn't know this was a trigger for me, but I first of all, a big trigger for me is I like you, tight spaces. I'm very claustrophobic. I've never been that way before, so that's definitely something that happened from here. And that is something that I have dealt with, and that kind of has not stopped since. And he figured out at the beginning that if he was on top, I would have a hard time with that, even if I didn't have to say that. So he just made sure that I was always on top. You know, for a long time, that was literally what he would do, is just made sure I was
Control
okay.
factor.
He
You
wanted,
are
yep, and he
control.
wanted to make sure that I knew that I was in control. And that's important.
It's very important because people don't understand that it's not you wanting to be controlling. It's you needing to feel as though you can at any point in time leave. You can stop, you can walk away. People don't understand that, and they think that you could be, overbearing or any other things that they may want to consider it. Who knows what people think? But they don't actually understand what it feels like to be held down or restricted and not be able to move. People don't understand what it feels like to
Heels.
keep everything in the world scary.
Mm-hmm. And Duchess, I saw you too. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. So, did he ever try to offer comfort when you were feeling uneasy? And if so, which I know the answer, but how did he offer you the comfort, and did it work?
Yeah, a lot of that was, he just showed me a lot of patience and a lot of understanding. And even when there had been a few times that I was like, okay, we got to stop. And there was just like, no problem with it. No problem. Okay. And he would just hold me. And I would tell him I was sorry. And he would be like, quit fucking saying you're sorry. There's nothing to be sorry about. Like, who cares? No, that's okay. It's not about that. I don't care. Mm-hmm. And he never, that's one thing I want to talk about too, is he never guilted me, because that is a form of coercion too. When men say, oh, but you're going to give me blue balls, or really, you're going to stop me right before we're about to do this? Like, you're really going to do this to me? No, fuck you. You have the power to stop any time. It doesn't matter if it's your husband. It doesn't matter if it's a boyfriend, and it doesn't matter if it's a one-night stand. It doesn't matter. It's your choice. And if you get into it and you start having sex, even in the middle of it, and you're not comfortable, you say, I'm done. No, done. And that's it. Like the title says, no means no. And it doesn't matter where you are in the act of sex. And don't let anybody guilt you and tell you different. That is one thing right there. And that's one thing that I've never had with my husband. He has never once guilted me or made me feel bad, or even made it so like, oh, really? You're going to put me in this spot? Like, no, I don't. He doesn't even, there's no problem. He understands.
How we talked about this, and I know that it's not an easy question and it's not an easy situation, but if the day comes where your son decides he wants to meet his other half of his family, because maybe there are brothers and sisters, how do you feel about that? And how are you going to handle that? I know you're going to be supportive, but I know it's going to be hard for you. And so people that are in that situation, that are dealing with that right now, you know, they would appreciate hearing at least your feelings on that.
Just support your child. However you can, just support your child and understand that sometimes it has to do with they just need to know their other half. For instance, my son did ask for a DNA test. So we were getting him that.
And also, people have to understand the reason behind this is you do not know what is in your son's medical history if you do not have access to it. So to sometimes have to reach out because of situations of health emergencies, that's another reason that you should really consider being honest and open and talking about things.
Yes, and actually that's funny that you brought that up because it's been something on my mind for really forever. And but I couldn't face it. And I really couldn't face it. I really couldn't face it until my son asked me for it. And now that my son's asked me for it, I'm willing to face it if that makes sense.
You're very brave, It took you 16 years to tell everybody an entire story, and we talked about an awful lot of things earlier that we didn't discuss, but there's probably reasons that those things were not brought up.
Well, just because I didn't bring it up, I was so scattered. So please help bring it back too. Because like I said, I'm an open book. So I know I skip things mistakenly.
How do you do with fast movements? Does that still bother you anymore? And if not, has that been something that affected you long term, or was it a short term?
Is still something I deal with.
Random, unexpected hugs or kisses when they come up behind you and they just hug you or they want to touch you. How does that work?
Okay with that. I'm okay with that for my husband only because over the years, he has established himself as a safe place for me. He has never put me in a spot. He's never hurt me. He's never hurt my children. He's always, even when we argue, because we're definitely not a perfect couple either, even when we argue and I've gotten to the point that I've gotten in his face and he won't react to it. And I think it's kind of like that type of like, it doesn't matter. I'm safe with him. I don't understand. I can't really explain it, but I just know I'm safe with him because he's never hurt me. He's never wavered from who he has been in the beginning. He's been the same steadfast man that has always supported me and helped me and listened to me and given me a safe place to run to. And so with him coming up behind me or doing things like that, I'm okay with. I think he also knows that I don't do well with fast movements, but so he just doesn't around me.
When do you remember when it started to become easier for you to accept the affection your father used to give you, as far as like the hugs and pats on the shoulders? Do you remember how you felt the day you noticed that it didn't bother you anymore?
For the first several months after my rape, like I said, even when my dad would try to hug me, I would just break down. It's like, I can't. And this was heartbreaking because at the beginning, he didn't even know what I was dealing with. He just knew something was up. It had gotten to the point that I was so bad at the beginning, especially, that there were a few of my friends that reached out to my dad and said, "You please watch her, that something's happened to her and she is trying to commit suicide." Like, I didn't ever tell anybody that, but what I was doing was obvious. I was on a self-destructive path. So I think my dad already in his heart kind of knew I was dealing with something a little bit beyond what he knew, but it took, I would say, I was finally okay. I was okay. Like, I was okay with him hugging me probably towards the end of my pregnancy. And I don't know what it was exactly to this day that broke through, but I was okay. It wasn't 100% okay. Like, it still made me feel uncomfortable, but at least I could have my dad hug me again without having a panic attack or breaking down into hysterics. And it's just, obviously, just as time's gone on, it's just gotten better and better with that. I think once I finally told him what I was going through, he also knew, like, okay, I have to be patient and I have to I can't allow her to see the hurt. Like, I think he also knew, like, he couldn't let me see that it hurt him because he didn't want to guilt me, if that makes sense.
Being strong for you is not as easy as some people think it is, because they are slowly breaking and dying inside themselves, and then all of a sudden they have to be strong and not show that they are being affected as well.
What is the faith though? Is it Christian?
Oh, he's on the phone, I think.
Oh, I was like, but it's a long and it's a hard road, and kind of what I'm trying to communicate is that nobody out there is alone, and nobody's journey is the same. But there's those of us that have been through it. You're not alone, and you have a community that you don't even realize you have a community of. And that's something that I've learned as I've started just learning to speak out a little bit more, that not only is it that I'm not alone, but there's a huge survivors community that a lot of us don't even realize that there is.
Right.
And I think that's another thing that's important, that, like I said to you, like, I'm done letting him steal my voice. I will not allow it anymore. And that's why I was very, very adamant to you on, I want to be on panel, and I want at least part of the time to be on camera, because that's important to me. It's part of my healing, because here's the deal I didn't know either. Not only speaking out, not only is it you are helping someone else that is out there and that is struggling, but you are also helping to heal yourself.
Yeah.
I love you, Heels.
How do you feel now after having this this night? For you, it was a big night, and
Yes.
I know that it was hard, and we talked for many hours. We always do, but
Yes.
how do you feel now? Do you feel easier, lighter?
Yeah, it is.
Afraid?
It's freeing. And I will say that to anybody out there that is thinking about telling their story, whether it's you're going to email it in and have it read anonymously, or you are going to get on this panel and talk, whether you're going to be on camera or not, it doesn't matter. It's your choice. Or you choose somewhere else to make that your platform to talk. Just do it. And I know it's hard. I believe it or not, I'm shaking like a leaf right now. You can't tell because I am able to like
I
kind
hear
of.
your voice.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy, but it's necessary not only for yourself, but for those out there that need help.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say it again, RAIN is an amazing organization for survivors, and they will help you however long you need help. Like I said, there's been times over the years that I was like, oh, I'm not okay, but I can't afford counseling. Guess what? I just call RAIN.
Right. And they are always there no matter what. And it does not matter how long it's been, it could be years. They still will talk with you and help you and stand by your side.
Yes. And like I said, please also understand that whether you want to press charges or you don't, they understand that's your choice and they will never push you to do anything you don't want to do. But those resources are there as well. If you are going to press charges, I wish I would have known RAIN before I knew the police. Because I really feel that if I had RAIN there, I would have probably had the strength to go forward.
The cops doing what they did to you, that was completely 100% unacceptable. They made you feel in a way that nobody should ever feel. They are supposed to serve and protect, not degrade and belittle and victim blame.
Right.
So, going back, if you could, how would you have handled it differently to make them not only take it serious, because it is a serious situation, but file the charges and handle your case?
I would have contacted RAIN before I contacted the police, because I will say they have advocates, victim advocates, that will be by your side if you choose to press those charges. And I highly suggest, like I
They
said, I
will
wish
go
I would
with
have
you
known
to the
about them
police
first.
department. They'll go to the police department with you.
Yes, they will be there every step of the way.
What about I know it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, correct? So say something were to happen right this very second, hypothetically, of course, and you were to call them, they would turn around and say, okay, we're on our way. How does that work? So people know what to expect when or if
So they will offer, if you choose to, if you want to press charges, they will offer their victim advocates who they have people in every state, and they will be there with you when you go to press the charges. They will be there with you when you go to court. They will be there with you to support you through the whole thing. heels knows. And but also another thing, they will help you with medical care, whether
That's
you need it, whether you press charges or not. If you go to them and you say, I need help, I need medical care, but I don't want to press charges, they understand that.
so they also helped you when you decided that you were going to not give your son up for adoption. They were able to help you with purchasing or donating of baby items, clothing, furniture, cribs.
Yes, they helped me a lot, as well as the clinic that I had gone to find out I was pregnant. Those two made sure those two made sure that I was I had what I needed. So again, I'm just going to tell you, there's probably resources that Rain has I'm not even aware of. That's how amazing they are.
And you said the website lists everything that they offer.
The website, yep, if you want, or just call that number. Call that number, talk to them, and say, what can you do for me? Help me. And they will do their best to help you.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing is, it's very, very amazing that they have the option, or they also provide free counseling services with licensed therapists. So they have they have therapists that work with them. And pretty much how it works is Rain pays for it and you go.
Okay.
I don't know if anything's changed over. I'm sure I did see when I looked a little bit right before this live that they are still offering counseling services. I'm also going to assume it's online now, but it wasn't that option back in 2006. So that's why I'm saying, so you go to counseling, but they probably also offer online counseling as well.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm assuming nowadays everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's online. Do you recommend, or how do you feel? I know that we talked about this earlier, but is it more helpful to do it on the phone, on the computer, or would you rather be face to face with somebody that is helping you?
At first it was, I went to counseling in person. I didn't have the choice, but I will say that if I had the choice, I would have done online. Because when I joined a support group, I had an in-person support group, but I had a hard time with that in-person support group at that time because I still couldn't even speak about it. But I could get online and type a little bit. So online support groups really help me. And there's several that you can find online that are actually support groups for survivors. And then there's many, of course, on social media. You can also join groups, do things like that. And I've done that over the years as well.
So you're still actively seeking help and talking, or at least involved in groups. And how often do you check in with them?
It really depends on where I am. If I'm having a hard time, I'm pretty active in it. A lot of the times, if I'm okay or I feel I'm okay, a lot of the times I won't check in on them. So it really just depends, like where I am feeling at in my life. And that's kind of something else that is important to know, that like it's not like fluid. It's not, this is the one way that you are supposed to do it. You're supposed to be in counseling forever. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. I don't know if I'm doing it right. I just know what I've done. And that's all I can share.
There's no right way. It's what works for you.
Yes. I think that's important for people to know too, that as time goes on, you're going to learn what helps you and what doesn't help you.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people they just have different needs. There's no right or wrong answer. There is never going to be one person's way of thinking that it's not a one size fits all type of a thing. It's catered to your individual needs, and that's what's really important. How often do you offer help or advice, or do you not? Are you not there yet in these groups or with people that you speak with?
I've been active in those groups for, I mean, when like I said, when I first started going to counseling, I went to an group support group, and I just wasn't finding any help. I couldn't connect and I couldn't speak on it. So I was told about online support groups at that time. I don't think that there were Facebook groups out there, but there was at least online support groups through organizations like RAIN or RAIN. I think RAIN might have some, but I'm not 100% on that, so I don't know. But it was like, it really just depends on where I am. I will say that for therapy, for me, I've done both. I've done online therapy or through Zoom or whatever. And I've also done online in-person therapy. And for me, it was for me how being face to face with that therapist or that counselor was what I needed. But I know many other survivors that they don't do that and they can only do it Zoom or even just through online. There's options out there, and that's the thing about it is like there's options out there, and there's any way you're comfortable, just find that way and just keep pushing forward and keep getting help and keep learning how to move forward with this scar, really. This horrible wound that finally heals up into a scar, but it's still there. And something super small or super, you don't even know. Sometimes something can get in there and it can open it right back up. And I think that's important for people to know too, that just because maybe you're so far down the road and then you're like, I'm okay, but then all of a sudden you're not okay and you need to reach back out for help, like that's okay too. And I've done that several times where I am in and out of therapy only because like I'll get to the point I'm okay. I can go ahead and step back from therapy, or I can step back from the support groups, and then something else comes along, whether it's a year down the road or 3 years down the road, and then I'm back and I need a little bit extra help, and that's okay too. And I think that's important for people to know that like you don't have to don't put a time limit on yourself. Healing is lifelong on this. Unfortunately, we got dealt something that we didn't ask for, but now we deal with it for the rest of our lives. We're dealing with the aftermath.
And it doesn't go away. It's always going to be an up and down roller coaster, and it is always going to be something that haunts you. So you just have to be strong and know that at the end of the day, you're not alone. You're never alone. There's always people out there that believe in you and care about you and have faith in you. And it could be something as simple as a comment.
Burden of Proof, thank you so much for coming. Can somebody drop her channel, please? She's another amazing creator.
Mhm.
If you want a true crime channel that has no drama and the nice, like one of the nicest chats, just like our chats here, sub up. I love
So,
you too. Means so much to
so
me, you
you
guys.
did
It really does. Like I said, I haven't looked at the comments. I'm just seeing one, like a little bit here, but I really want to thank everybody for just listening to my ramblings. I don't know if I really just even made sense, but
You
I
did.
hope I hope somebody out there understands that you're not
Um,
alone.
does anybody have any questions, or would you like to offer or ask advice from the lovely mama? Because there's always something extra we can learn from somebody else. We don't know everything. So if there's anything that we would like to take out of tonight or would like to leave behind to help mama and everybody else that are watching, what would you like to say?
I want to hear from I would like to know if anybody has any, please do ask any questions. I'm an open book. I want to help. I just want people to know that it's not hopeless. It's not. And I am a testament that there is healing after rape, and you are able to go on and have a good and healthy relationship. And
It doesn't happen right away.
it
It's
doesn't. It
not
takes time. It takes time. And
going to
be
ever nothing
understanding to yourself.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give yourself some grace for sure. That's something that over the years I've had to learn too, because I'm extremely hard on myself. I have very high expectations of myself, and I am used to, in a lot of things, just pushing forward and stuffing it down. That's I don't know, it's a stupid thing. It's a stupid coping mechanism, but that's always been my coping mechanism. And so when I was raped, that was what I went to, but you can't push it down, believe me. Even when you think you have, if you don't get help and you don't reach out and you don't you don't take the steps to heal, it comes back, and it comes back worse. And it's not a good thing to do. I'm just trying to tell anybody out there that don't repeat some of my mistakes, that you need to get help, and that it's necessary to get help, and there are people out there that care. And even though I went to the police and I was not treated how the police should ever treat a victim, I still did go on to find that there are people out here in this world that are good people.
How long?
Unfortunately, the police officers I had were not, but that's been important too.
How long
How
did it
to
take
let your
for
guard
you
down.
to put your
That's
guard
a good
down?
question from Rachel. It took a long time, Rachel. It really did. How did you let your guard down? It took a long time for me. Like I said, I didn't even get out into the dating world until 3 years after my son was born. I didn't, and then our relationship ended, and I happened to meet my now husband. And how I let my guard down, especially with him, is because he just stayed consistent with me. And he stayed steadfast, and he was patient, and he was understanding. And anytime I said, I can't handle that, he never asked me questions. It just, whatever it was. And so that is how I let my guard down, is because he proved to me over the years that I could let my guard down. And a lot of this is because because he helped me put my guard down, is when I also started speaking out too. Because he helped me realize that it's not just about I can help somebody with this. If this is what I want to do, if I want to help somebody, I want to tell my story, then he supports me and he does that in everything. That's in what burden of proof we all need to be we need to be understanding of ourselves. So what I'm trying to say to you, Rachel, is how I let my guard down is I had to be patient with myself, like burden of proof said, but also finding a partner, a person, somebody to spend my life with that has stayed consistent and never changed. He has always been the way I'm telling you he is. And he has always understood that even before he knew, if that makes sense. I think they subconsciously know.
Putting aside your husband and son, what else gets you through each day?
Honestly, what gets me through every day is that, first of all, I'm still here. I'm still here, so obviously there's a reason. I get through because I know not only is it that I have my family now to help me get through, but also that what helps me is I want to help people. I do that in my life. I find ways, whether it's talking to somebody that's been through, and I've done that. I've actually been able to help another victim in my area to get the help she needed when I wasn't able to find it. I was at least able to help someone else. And that's honestly a big part of what gets me through. Is that I'm here for a fucking reason. And I know my purpose is to help others. And this is part of helping others. Even though it's hard, even though this is probably one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life, I didn't realize it would be this hard. But it's necessary because I'm seeing this right here. It's sad to me that there's other people out there that have had this happen to them. And there's people that don't talk about it ever. But honestly, that's just talking about it has been a lot of my healing. And a lot of what gets me through is that I just want to be here to help someone else.
How do you prevent yourself from blaming yourself? And I know that you did for a little while, even though you didn't want to and that you don't want to admit it. And we never discussed it. I know that you did.
I did for a long time. I did for a long time.
How did you realize what made you realize it was not your fault, never would be, and never will be? How do you help somebody who has suffered their entire life feeling the blame get over that? Because nobody should ever think that it's their fault.
I blame myself for a long time. I went through all of the things, I got that pit in my stomach. I knew when I went to that party that there was something up with this guy. Why didn't I listen and leave? That's my fault. Why did I drink at that party? I was a dumbass. That was my fault too. You go through it all. And then here I am. I'm not brave enough. I can't go forward with these charges. And that's my fault too, and I went through a long, long ass time of that. I think a lot of it was getting help again, getting that therapy, getting that support, not only from my loved ones. Slowly over time, I understood that I did nothing to cause this. He decided that was something he did, and that's on him, period. And that was it's hard. And I think it just a lot of reassurance that it's not my fault, not only for myself, but from loved ones, that, you did nothing to cause this.
Right. It never was your fault.
It's never your fault. Mary, listen to me here. Listen to me, Mary, and anybody else. Doesn't matter. It wasn't your fault. I don't give a shit what you have put in your head to rationalize that it's your fault. You did nothing wrong and you did not deserve it. I did have severe panic. Do you have panic attacks, and what did you do to stop it? I did. I would have severe panic attacks for the first several years of after my rape, and it would take me down. A lot of the times, if I was anywhere, it didn't matter. I would just literally collapse, and I would just bring my knees up to my stomach, my chest, and put my chin on it, and I would rock. And I would do that until I calmed down. And a lot of the times, especially at the beginning, it was like I couldn't be, if there was anybody around, don't touch me. You can't touch me. Because during that time, I couldn't be touched, even to be comforted. And I think as I finally faced that I actually did need some counseling or help or support, slowly over time, I was able to kind of on my own regulate my breathing, take the deep breaths, and calm myself. And over time, the panic attacks stopped. I haven't had a panic attack, knock on wood, for years. But it took a long time and it took a lot of patience and really honestly, and I don't know how to explain it, but really if you can get your breathing under control, just deep breaths. And what helped me was bringing my knees up to my chest and putting my chin on my knees and just I probably not the correct method, but that's what helped me. And just sitting there and rocking like this and just controlling my breathing, and that's what helped me. So, and just so you guys know, I got one too. Well, can you see her?
There she is, little fairy butt. My act is that I call him my gargoyle because he's constantly sitting over me, staring at me, and more often than not, I think he's judging me.
Yeah, she's usually judging too, but she also is very in tune with me too. She's definitely comfort. Like she knows when I am worked up, and she just comes and sits next to me, or she'll sit on my lap if my lap's available. Right now it's not, so that's why she's not on my lap. But she actually came over here at the beginning when I was telling my story. She knew I was upset, and she came over and she sat here, and she's been here the whole time.
My animals, every one of my animals do that with me.
Yeah. Animals know. They know.
What? How do you feel about going into crowded areas? How long was it until you could do that?
In all honesty, I still have a hard time. It's gotten like I'm okay at this point. I'm okay if I'm in a crowd and it's outside. If it's inside, I still have an extremely hard time. Like it's really hard. It really kind of sucks because before my rape, I used to love going to concerts. It was like something that I adored doing, and I haven't been able to be back to an indoor concert. That's a good crowd thing to say. Like I haven't even now. I haven't even been able to go to a concert. I went to one outdoor concert that had about 100 people, and it was outside and everybody was spread out. And I'm okay in a crowd that if we're outside, but inside I have a hard time. I really have to work on regulating my breathing, and I I just try not to be there for that long. I don't know how to. I'm still working on a lot too. And I want people to understand that I don't have it all figured out at all. I don't. I'm still in my process of healing too, because like you said, this is lifelong. And sometimes we're still going to there's things that we have to deal with. And over the time, a lot of it has to do with just my breathing. If I can regulate my breathing, I can calm myself usually, but I still have a hard time in crowd. If it's very crowded, like that, just, I can't, it's hard. It's hard.
Thank you.
Oh, whisper.
I think that you're very brave, and I think you did much better than you thought you were going to. And I need you to know that you are amazing, and we all love you.
Well, I love you guys. I love you, Noelle. I love Matt, and I love everybody that's come here to listen to my story.
Mom, how you doing? You did good. Sending hugs. You did pretty good. Strong story.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
I hate hearing. I'm gonna have to get used to it because I saw another subscriber that wanted to reach out to Noelle. I think Rachel wanted to get a hold of you earlier in the chat.
Rachel is one of the first people I spoke to.
Oh, okay.
Rachel and Mama Bear are the two I contacted first about helping me with this.
I like you guys. I know you guys from the chat. You guys support the channels, both me and my wife. We talk to you off YouTube, get to know you guys. It kind of sucks having to hear the darker side of things, but I do understand it's for, a greater reason, which is awareness and help people, to show people where to go, the resources. So I do understand it. It just sucks though, for me it sucks, but I do get it, and, proud of you for it. You're very good.
Hey, ask him if he can't hear me, but Matt, hey,
Yes.
How about this? Next live, I will get on your panel and we can talk some shit to make things way lighter.
No, it's cool. I understand that it's for awareness. I'm not, I don't want to dismiss anything or,
But what if I need a lighter side? So what if I want to come on your panel and talk some shit about some tragedy pimps?
Yeah, you're always welcome to do that. But this is more important. And I know you're trying to help other people, so I get it. I'm just saying for my, I'll tell you how I feel, but I completely get the point. It's very important that you're doing it. But you do good. You're almost a natural. I was listening to you. We were sending you hugs. You kind of do it like me when you're on panel. You don't look at the comments. I think that's the best thing to do. But sometimes they're trying to.
That's especially for this. Yeah.
I mean, I look at my comments when I'm on my live, but on someone else's panel, I just don't focus on them because I get frustrated. I get like my ADHD kicks in big time.
Yeah. I know for this too. I just wanted to make sure didn't get too off course. I know I kept getting off course and rambling, but I was hoping that would kind of cut back on my ramblings a little bit.
Yeah.
But
everybody loves you. Everybody thinks that you're very brave. Hey Matt, can you see? He also wants to know if you can see.
Actually, that's a good question.
This
Hold
is
on.
the never-ending fucking.
Hold on, that's a good question.
What the hell?
Wait a minute, because I turned the robot off the other day. I forgot to tell you that.
You told me that.
I completely turned it off. So I want to know. Let's actually give me 1 second, Eels. I see the last comment that I see is Sally, Dee Dee, Christina.
Keep going up.
What's up, Sally? What's up, Dee Dee? Christina, what's happening? Mark. Green
eyes.
Green. How do you say this?
Green eyes.
Green eyes. Got it. Rachel, what's happening? Bella, what's happening? I don't see her. Let me hit the new comments. Hold on. All messages. What the hell? Squall, what's happening, Squall? No. So
Go to the bottom. It's the third up.
Look. Here's the thing. Okay, Heels. Listen, this is where I'm at. I have went in my settings at least 6 separate times through all the my block list. Here's the thing. I went to your channel. I left a comment that said, "Can you see me?" And I never got a response from you. I'm explaining it so we could figure this out. I'm just explaining it out loud. So I went to your channel, and this is on the laptop too, not on mobile. And I hit the link to your channel. I went back to my settings. I left a comment when I was over there. Hey, can you see me? I didn't get a response back. Don't know if you did. And then I went back into my settings on YouTube, and I added your link as a moderator. It's there. So you're a mod on my chat.
And you still can't see her?
Does she have? I can't see her. Does she have a wrench when you can see her?
I mean, she has one in here.
Does she? Okay, I want you to. Everybody in the chat, please remember this. Next time I'm live, I want you to look to see if Heels has a wrench. You are officially a moderator. You're in my mod list. Now, the thing is, I can't see you. While I was at your channel on a PC, if you're on a laptop, you hit the person's channel and then you hit them and you can hit 3 dots to block, share, report. If you were blocked, it would say unblocked. You were not blocked. So I went back to my settings.
Look at the bottom, the last comment.
It's not, babe, look. Show the phone. Look. Can they see it? I can see it on yours.
Well, duh.
Can they see the phone? Put them both up. Put them both up side by side. So weird, Heels. Okay, just let me finish. So I saw that if you were blocked, then when I hit those 3 dots, it would give you the option to unblock you. There was no option to unblock you. So I grabbed your link. I head back to YouTube Studio. I add you as a moderator. I check my block list, okay, which I scroll down and it gives me a list of names. And then it said at the bottom, it says, see 55 more. So I hit that and I went through them again. Keep in mind, I'm like mind fucking myself because I keep checking the block list. I'm like, man, I had to bypass her. I had to miss it. I've checked it 6 separate times. Here's the thing that I think it might be. I have those robots that are in my chat. They drop the links for you, commands. One is Stream Elements, and there's another one. So the other day I turned off one of them, okay, giving it no commands, I unparted it from my channel. Okay, so there's one more robot thing. But the problem is, if a robot did block you, okay, it would be in my hidden list, my block list. You're definitely not in my block list. And you're a moderator technically. It's so fucking weird. Okay, it's weird. It's fucking weird, man. I cannot figure this shit out. And it's really bothering me. So I'm just talking out loud now to tell you exactly what I've done. Well, how many times have I been on my block list?
More times than I want to talk about.
But I wonder, did you get that comment? And I'll tell you the video that I did it on. You did a Unirock video, okay?
Do you have anything in your block words like heels or in the air or anything that might block her?
I actually checked that as well. No, it's got nothing like that. So I'm going to turn my other robot off and see what happens.
I told you a long time ago to get rid of those stupid fucking robots.
What I think I'm going to do, though, what I didn't do, Heels, is this. You know how you have the moderator list, the approved user list, and then the banned list. I'm going to go back, grab your link, and put it on approved user. Then you have to show up.
You did do that, though.
She's not in my hidden comments.
She's
not on my ban list. It's like the fucking weirdest fucking thing, man. It is so weird. And I made a video the other day because I asked Don Wells to confirm if Bullhorn Betty did send him a busted shot. And he said, yeah, when he was in jail, the skank sent him a busted shot.
No.
Yes, for reals.
No.
And I tagged you in it.
Don, if you'd like to talk about how you've been victimized, please contact me.
But so yeah, he confirmed it. I made a short out of it too on the second channel. But the problem is, I'm like, afterwards, I'm like, damn, I tagged her and she can't even comment for me to pin it. You know? So it's not saying that the video that you did was not truthful or anything. I know that it was. I just had to ask him a step further. I wanted some more juicy details. Yeah, she sent him a busted shot. She wanted old Donald to whack his cock, is what she wanted to do. She's probably drunk. But anyhow, anyway, I don't know, man. I'm gonna add you as an approved user. Turn the other robot
I
off
thought you did.
and hope that fixes it, man. Because it's shenanigans city all day with the situation. It's like I'm talking to a ghost.
The ghost of heels. Maybe that's.
I wonder how many
It's
trolls I
messy.
have that are like this, talking shit, and I can't even see them. Seriously, motherfuckers.
I don't. You can't even see her. She says she clipped it. She clipped it, but because someone told me about it, it's in my video.
She clipped what?
So the video you tagged her in?
Oh yeah, do what you want with it. I tagged you in it. I believe I changed the title afterwards, but I tagged you in the description too if you didn't see. But specifically wanted to confirm it. So here's the story. Here's the legit story. She did in fact send a busted shot with a letter. There is a bag of jail mail because, believe it or not, Don did get a lot of support. I'm sure he got hate mail as well. And he has a whole bag of that stuff. But it is at a friend's house. It's actually at well, I won't name the friend. It's at a friend's house, and it's there. Because he did, but the only thing he couldn't recall if it was a bikini or if it was panties and bra. I think that if it was panties and bra, I think that Andra doesn't match the panties with the bra. I think that she hit him with
Hey,
the
all right, bounce out of here because that has nothing to do with the hell I'm fucking doing tonight. Nobody cares.
No, it could have been a bikini though. It's probably a
Get
onesie.
out.
What if it was
Go in the house
What if she
now, Matthew.
House, you're grounded.
You.
grandma panties are funk?
All right, Matt. You will sleep in the fucking couch if you don't get the fuck out of my porch.
Grandma panties. Where's my headphones at?
You're gonna learn what it's like to fucking have a broomstick up your ass in a minute.
Yeah, okay. Where's my thing at? Where's my earpiece?
I don't know. I hope you never find it again.
Oh shit.
So,
Hell.
I guess everyone's laughing. Bye, Matt. She's gonna break her foot off in your ass. Yeah. So what do you want to say to Rachel? I think I said one story at a time. Start with the easiest, go from there. She is not broken, and she will feel better and strong.
What your comment said about we won't judge you. There's nothing to judge, Rachel. You did nothing wrong. It's not your fault at all. Whatever you went through, whatever abuse you went through, and this goes for everybody out there, it's not your fault. So anyone that wants to judge anyone for the abuse that they've gone through, they can fuck all the way off. And that's my opinion. So you've got this. And just like what Noelle said, that's my suggestion. Definitely start maybe with one story because, yes, me too. I have more than one as well. And so
We all usually
start somewhere. And that's really what it comes down to, Rachel, is you got to start somewhere. We got this. You've got this. And we're here for you. We're here cheering you on. You will feel a lot better. Just like what you told me just now. I'm going to sleep like a baby because this is something that has been needed to be done for a long time.
Everyone needs support.
Yes, Heels. Making it shameful has to stop, period. Absolutely.
Sometimes you get support in the oddest places. Like, who the hell thought you'd ever find something amazingly supportive and helpful and loving and caring on YouTube?
Especially
And
with what we've been seeing lately too, but yes, there's supportive people out here, and there's people that want to help, and there are resources. And just think of it like this: you could be saving a life, and you probably have already with just talking in chat.
just knowing there are other people out there and hearing their stories, or, hearing their struggles and what they did to overcome it, can help you. It's sometimes just knowing that you can sit and listen and not have to say anything that helps.
It does.
It's knowing that by sharing your story and giving advice and helping people learn and educate them on, just because it's not physical doesn't mean that it's not considered abuse. You might not realize you're being abused.
Right.
Thing, any type of help, as far as teaching you the hotlines and organizations out there, which we are constantly dropping all night long, being supportive of each other, helping you plan your exit strategy, learning new techniques to try in your relationship, because relationship advice is another thing we are going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
You might not have hit the end of the road with your relationship, and it can get better. Sometimes you just have to hear somebody else's perspective and what techniques they utilize in their relationship, and try it. It could work.
And
there are a million possibilities, but you're never going to help anybody if you don't say something.
Yep.
And it can be anonymous.
And just remember where I started. It took me a while to get here. So if you want to write in your story anonymously, believe me, when I
Whisper,
say
you're going to see
Noelle,
the caption.
it is safe with Noelle. I want everybody to know that out there, that you're safe with Noelle. It does, Rachel. Crying does help. And you take baby steps, and it's just one day at a time. That's really what it comes down to, is one day at a time. And also, we're not broken. We aren't. Just like it was said in chat, we're not broken. We're survivors. Thank you. Thank you.
You can't let anybody take your strength away.
No.
No one has that right to make you feel like you're not good enough. No one has the right to make you feel like it is your fault, because it's not.
Exactly.
You are not defective. You are just somebody that needs to know that you have a place to go. And that's why we're here. We want to be your place to go. We want to be your help. And we're going to help you through it if you want us to help you through it, because we've all needed help.
Oh, Rachel, that means so much to me. And I know you are going to do the same when you come up here and you talk, and it really does help. It's healing for you, but you help somebody else, and you've got this. I believe in you. You've got this. You're strong. And anybody else out there that wants to talk or wants to send in their stories, or you can do this. It's time.
Advice.
Don't let them.
Story. Offering advice is going to help in ways you don't even know.
And another thing too is, just, like, it's just one day at a time. And if you find your safe place, just find your safe place. That's always important. And find somebody. If you are going to be with somebody, make sure that they are your safe place, because you have to have a safe place in your partner too.
Yeah.
And remember that, like the title says, no always means no. Period. Don't let anybody guilt you into anything. Don't let anybody coerce you. Don't let anybody force you to do anything that you're not okay with. Period.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
Bella Vita, we have to break those chains. Yes.
if you need help finding the resources and organizations, you can ask. If we haven't already dropped it, we'll find it. That's why I constantly say, hey, every time we do something, send me your state's organizations and hotlines, helplines, every kind of line, send it.
Yes.
There's national hotlines out there, but some people feel better having their own state's organization information.
Yeah.
So I can't do all that on my own. I'm slowly but surely getting it. And then I got a new phone and lost it all. And so I'm constantly sending the information to Mama Bear and elsewhere so that we can continue to find
Put it all in one spot so we don't lose it again.
We're gonna get there. Eventually we are going to be able to drop every state's information that we can. But
Heels, highlight heels real quick.
we're gonna need it. We're gonna need help. Bad husband hotline 1-800 get the fuck off my porch.
That's awesome.
There. The fuck off my porch. I didn't
But
realize,
yes, it's getting late. I should probably jump down because I do my wonderful man has to get up at 5 a.m. for work.
mine is standing there quietly for one.
He's scared.
Getting ready to work out. Okay. So I didn't realize that what I've been through is still messing with my life and relationships. And unfortunately, it will always continue to do so unless you let it out and you figure out a way to find.
Okay, I gotta jump down.
Thank you.
My little guy woke up with a bloody nose, so I gotta get down out of here. I love you guys.
We love you too. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry I have to get off abruptly, but yeah.
Fine. Thank you.
All right, love you guys.
Night.
Bye. Good night.
So yeah, you have to talk. You have to talk about everything. You have to, if you write it in a diary, I mean, a journal is fine. You don't have to. They even have online journals. I've used one called Vent, and it's a huge community, and you can join different groups and read different people's, journal entries, and they can read yours if you want it to be public, and you can comment on each other's stuff and, offer help that way. And sometimes that's the best way, is because you're actually able to share your stories and your issues, and you are doing it publicly with people you don't know and don't have to see, and they're still offering you help, and you're still able to offer them help. And so I think that, something like that could be a really good avenue for you to try. Like I said, anybody that is able to send me information, please do. My email's in the chat. If you would like to share your story on panel, you're welcome to contact me on the phone or in the email, and we can set something up. If you would like me to read your story anonymously for you because you are not ready to do it yourself, but you want it out there, I can do that for you as well. Together, one by one, we will help each other and we will save each other. But the first step is taking the first step. From there, that's when you're going to notice it gets better and you feel better. So I'm gonna go. It's Wednesday night. I'll be back Monday. And I'll be sharing one of my stories Monday. If anybody would like to schedule something, let me know. Hey, Pats, I love you. And we'll figure it out. Until then, everybody stay safe, okay? And know you're not alone. We love you all very, very, very much. You don't have to know each other to love each other. I've learned that through YouTube, the oddest place in the world, right? So, you know what? I'm happy that I have you guys all here. So everybody be good and stay safe. And you're not alone. Reach out. Reach out to any of us. Reach out to me. We'll work on it. And I will see you guys Monday. Much love to everyone. And thank you guys so much for being here and being so awesome to Mama as she shared her story, because it was not easy for her to do, and it was her first time ever sharing it. So you guys are all very amazing tonight. Thank you. All right, guys. See you soon.